Hi, welcome again to Let's Get Working and our special edition of how to get and keep a job. Today we're covering cover letters. So Martin, what you got for us today?
Heaps, Martha, because if there's one place where people make a mistake, it's in writing the cover letter.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cover some of the basic mistakes today. But before I do, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Two people in this relationship. That's you and the person that's going to give you a job, the employer.
Yep.
Okay? What do you want? You're writing a cover letter. What do you want?
I want a job.
You want a job. First and foremost, you want a job.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Why do you want a job?
I want money.
You want money. You want a job, you want money. What else do you want?
I want self-worth.
Self-worth. Anything else?
Holidays.
Holidays.
Relationships with colleagues.
Okay, so co-workers.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that fair?
Yep.
Does it sound reasonable?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a job that gives me money. I think it gives me a sense of self-worth. I don't mind taking holidays, and I get along with some of the staff. Okay. So that's my needs taken care of. What about the employer?
Well, they want someone that can do the job.
Okay, so they want competence.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's near an A, competence.
They want value for money.
Value for money. I think they want more than that.
What do you think they want?
I think if I'm an employer, it's not just value for money. If I pay you $5, how much do I want back?
$10.
Afraid so.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't make me we often forget that, Martha.
Okay.
If you don't make me a profit,
Mhm.
I can't have you around, because for most people, their business pays their bills.
Yeah.
And if it's not making money, they're not paying their bills. If they're not paying their bills, they can't really pay you.
That's
So
right.
they've got to make a profit on you. In other words, you have to bring in more than your cost.
Yeah.
Okay, so competence, value for money, profit, what else?
Reliable person.
Reliability,
Honesty.
honesty, so we want all those personal qualities. Reliable, honesty, effort. We want someone that's going to work hard, and so on. So when we're writing the cover letter, do we think about what we need, or should we be thinking about what the person we're writing to needs?
I think we need to write about what the employer needs.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and pretty much everybody does exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody writes things like this. Okay? Don't use this as your example. If you're watching this film, this is not cool. But they say things like, "Dear Fred, my name is Martin and I'm a 53-year-old person who's presently out of work and very keen to get some money. I'm very keen to see how you can help me reach my goal, and I'll work to pay my bills. I'll wait for you to call, Martin." And look, it's a bit extreme, but I would get probably 15 to 20 cover letters every week. And really, the majority would go into this box.
Yeah.
They talk about what the person that's writing to me wants. They talk about that person's problems. They talk about that person's needs. And you know how much I'm interested in those things?
Not at all.
Very busy.
Yeah.
And I've got places to go and things to do, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. So, first thing to do, put yourself in the employer's shoes. Don't be the person writing the letter, be the person that opens it up and reads it.
Yep.
And start thinking, hey, hang about a second. This is a bit like, can you remember, and I don't want you to get too personal here,
Okay. All right.
but you remember when Andrew first was sort of keen on you?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Did he talk about how good he was or how interesting you were?
He was actually talking more about how he could fix my wheelchair.
Was he?
Yeah.
Did he move on from there?
After quite some time.
Okay. Well, let's just think
Yeah.
about it. You know,
Yeah.
we're at a party, and we notice someone's looking at us.
Yeah.
You know, it's a boy or a girl, whichever we prefer, and they're looking at us, and then they come over, and you know, they smile and they say hello, and most people really, really, really want to hear that the other person has taken an interest in them.
Yeah.
So we don't go over and go, "Hi Martha, have you noticed how tall, handsome and interesting I am?" They
Yeah.
come over and say, "Hey, you've got a really lovely smile. I hope you don't mind me introducing myself, but you
Yeah.
look like someone I'd like to get to," whatever.
Yes.
But
true.
it's taking an interest in you.
Yeah.
So we need to remember that. This is like trying to set up a date, because we want to go and see the employer.
Yeah.
And they are going to be interested in us
Mhm.
if we are interested in them.
Yes.
So I'm going to write another cover letter now.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now we need to get some information about the business that we're writing to,
That's
don't we?
correct,
And it's
yeah.
inexcusable not to these days. It's so easy to Google things.
A lot of companies that have websites will have a little story about us, and so you can just get one or two sentences from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some stuff to avoid.
Dear.
Dear.
Yeah.
Why avoid dear?
Because it's just boring.
Well,
It's out of date.
It's out of date. It's an old thing.
Yeah.
When I see you, I don't say, "Dear Martha," do I?
No.
I might have 150 years ago, but I don't now. What would I say now?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Good morning. People always read the mail in the morning. Good morning, or whenever you're writing it, good afternoon, whatever, but not dear if you can avoid
Yeah.
it. And then what comes after that? Good morning,
Whoever's name.
and if you Well, Martha, let's just go back over what we've done so far.
Okay.
Okay, we've got rid of the dear, we've replaced it with good morning, and you know my first name. First name's always strongest.
Yeah.
Good morning, Martin. While researching Nova, Learning Curve, I was very impressed to see how client-focused your company is. Bit of praise, thank you. Don't lie. Really important. If you've researched the company and you don't think it's client-focused, don't say it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than insincerity. Never lie in anything. Comes back, bites you on the bum. Okay, so let's just say we pick out something though that we can see. What an impressive website. Wow, you've been around for 20 years. I see you've got 50 branches, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
but make sure it's true. You must have a very good team, and that's why I'm writing to you. Do you need extra people who share a client focus and also a similar desire to help people with disability? Of course I do, it's common sense. Then you should look at my resume. I probably will. I've got this far down the letter, I think I might. You will see I bring a history of reliability, integrity and skills I hope you'll view as valuable for Nova, because I'm very keen to learn from you.
Yeah.
Okay?
That sounds really good.
And now, we're getting to the end. Then you should look at my resume. You'll see I bring a history of reliability, integrity and skills I hope you'll view as valuable for Nova, because I'm very keen to learn from you.
Yeah.
So I'm putting myself in the one down position. I want to learn from you. Okay, not I've got a heap to give you, but I want to learn from you. Please, always a nice thing, would you take some time to meet with me personally? I might. I don't mind what I've read so far. I think you'll see I can bring strengths to your team. I'll call you on Tuesday morning to see if we can set a time for an interview. And then I ran out of space. I wouldn't actually put a kiss, but I ran out of space. Now, if we say something like this, I'll call you on Tuesday morning, what have we got to do?
You have to ring on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon won't do, Monday night's no good, Tuesday morning, ring, your phone goes. I go, "Hi Martha, it's Martin. I promised I'd call this morning."
Yeah.
Far more likely to get some time. Okay, so essentially, Martha, that's a good cover letter. It's not perfect. I made it up as we went along, but it's a cover letter that remembers the important things. Two people in the relationship, and the important person is the employer.
Yep, absolutely.
We don't want to talk about what we want. When we did that in the earlier letter, my name's Martin, I want a job, I need some money, when can I start, because I only need to work until I've paid my bills. No one's going to follow that through.
Yeah.
So, here's the rules. First of all, put yourself in the employer's shoes and talk to their needs. Never tell a lie.
Yeah.
Not just because it's a bad thing to do, but because no one's got a good enough memory to remember them all. And people, employers particularly, are used to seeing people tell little fibs. Don't bother with any of them. Always tell the absolute truth. And start to identify what the strengths are that you bring to the employer and talk about them. So when you hire me, Martha, what you're going to get is someone who always turns up on time, who's very reliable, who won't take your money, and who will stay and earn you lots of profit.
Okay.
And there's one other thing I think we should do, and I didn't include it in this letter, so I'm just going to do another quick paragraph that I think we could maybe fit in if we can. Okay, so I'll just write this and I'll come back to it. Okay, so let's come back to this here. This is a paragraph we might like to be able to put in, or something like it. You'll see from the attached references that other employers have valued my skills. Fred Smith from Fred Smith Autos got it right when he said, Martin's a very hard worker. I'd like to bring that ability to your business.
That's awesome.
It's awesome because when that person at the dance wants to ask you out, you know they're telling lies. But when you know them from other people, if other people come up to you and they go, Martin's such a nice person, Martin's so interesting, whatever else it may be, then you're going to go, well, if my friends think he's interesting, there must be something there.
Yeah.
And so too here. Other employers' testimony, or someone that you know, I mean, for some people when they start out, maybe it's their mum and dad.
Yeah.
Okay, but somebody else is going to say you're a good worker. Very important paragraph to include if we can.
And it gives you credibility.
It gives you great credibility. Now, the maybe paragraph. I would suggest it has to come in here, but it is a maybe.
Okay.
Okay, and the maybe is this. In your case, that looks a lot to me like a wheelchair.
All right.
Are we going to mention it in our letter?
See, I have issues. I mean, if I put it in the letter,
Yep,
people are going to judge.
absolutely.
They're going to go, oh, that's too hard.
Yep.
And toss the letter aside.
Yep.
But also the other side is, if they know about my disability and they want to give me a go,
That's
they would
right.
be a good employer to work for.
Absolutely. Now, you can't hide your wheelchair, mate.
No.
We can put branches around it and camouflage it, but it isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I figure that for a lot of disability, the very best thing you can do is put it out on the table.
Okay.
And if people go, I wouldn't hire a person in a wheelchair, guess what?
Too bad.
I wouldn't work for a person that wouldn't hire a person with a wheelchair. So we've agreed. You go your way and I'll go mine.
Yeah.
So I think put it on the table. But there's a way of putting it on the table, I think, that can actually engage with the employer. And we can start to make any disability a strength rather than a barrier.
Well, in most cases it is a strength. But it's just, I guess, people's perceptions that
Well, let's
we
deal
need
with
to
them.
break down.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Handling the issue of disability. Onto the table, in my opinion.
Okay.
With words like this, the first thing you'll see about me is my wheelchair. Because that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
So, now that's on the table, can I also say being a wheelchair user has increased my awareness of the needs of others. Why is that valuable? I'm sure you value that for your customers.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I would. I want my staff to be thinking about the needs of the people that could bring me money. My chair hasn't stopped me from achieving good qualifications, making great friends, and earning my previous employers a profit. So see past the obvious.
Yeah.
A paragraph like that puts disability on the table, if it's there. So, you know, if you've lost a leg, if you've lost an arm, say so. If you have a history of mental illness, say it. But now this is something that is very controversial, and I know not everybody agrees with me. I can tell you that in my experience, though, if the issue is on the table, it can be dealt with and plans can be put in place to deal with it. If it's not and it sneaks up on the employer, they tend not to be impressed.
Okay.
You know, sentences like, when I hired you, I didn't know that you were going to need time off to deal with this issue, tends to be relationship damaging. Much better to say. When we hire people that don't have a disability, they come along and they say, look, you know, I'd love to come and work with you, but I'm going to need to take February off because I booked this great holiday and I'm not giving it up for you.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, okay, I can understand that. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, oh, my son's getting married and he lives in Israel. I've got to catch a plane and be away for a fortnight. That's okay, I know about it. It's not a problem. But when people sneak up on you and that stuff happens, that's when we have problems.
Yeah.
Don't like that. Neither does anybody else. So they're the sorts of things that I think you can compress into a page, page and a quarter, short, punchy stuff that tells the employer what they're going to get.
Yeah.
From a positive viewpoint. Now, what are you going to do if people want to check out or have their work checked out? Are you going to look at it?
Yes, yes. So if people were to write a cover letter and send it to me at info@letsgetworking.com.au, I'm happy to have a look at your cover letter and maybe give you some tips on how to make it better or whatnot.
And look, I'll tell you what I'm going to give you, Martha. I'm going to give you something that's important for your cover letter, and that's a reference.
Okay.
If you're watching this film and you think to yourself, hey, you know, I might make a bad job of my cover letter, but also I'm a bit shy about sending it to you. Don't be shy, send it along. This lady's an expert, she'll do a great job, and she'll tell you the truth. And it's much better to be told the truth than have someone tell you a lie.
Yeah. I'll be nice to you.
She'll be much nicer than I'd be.
No one's ever cried in my job club. So
Lots of people have cried on me. Okay, so what do you think? Short, punchy, deal with the issues, put them on the table, and remember, you're selling yourself. Don't go on about what you want and what you need. Talk to what the employer needs, and you're bound to be successful.
All right, what about envelopes?
Just one last thing. I get a lot of mail, and the ones I open first, handwritten envelopes.
Yeah.
Even if the handwriting's a bit kind of crayon, I still open the handwritten ones first. So if you want to get to the front of the queue, handwrite your envelopes. It's not like you're sending out thousands of applications.
And also, if you don't have the ability to write, ask a friend or relative to write them for you.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all for now. Have a good week.